Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Mark O'Brien of CM First Group. Thanks again for registering today's webinar, which is titled Intelligent Process Workflow, Easier Now Than Ever to Build Apps. You know, according to the Economic Times 2016 worldwide survey of CIOs, there are two capabilities in particular. One is called Intelligent Business Operations, or IPO, and the second is having a focus on driving efficiency versus cost cutting, which are amongst the most effective ways for CIOs to justify and succeed with today's workflow projects. Axon Ivy, who is a CM First partner and has a top three worldwide rating in intelligent BPM, is clearly driving change in the industry. The latest release of Axon Ivy integrates both legacy and digital processes with analytics faster and better than ever, a process Axon refers to as digitalization of your business. There are two Axon Ivy process and customer success handouts which are available for download if you just click on the handouts in the toolbar. Also, while you're over the toolbar, you're free to write any questions that come up during the presentations today and the live demonstrations in that chat box, as we will have a short Q&A session after our speakers. But first, so today's presenters are, I'm going to do an introduction, the introduction, and also talk a little bit about what is intelligent workflow. I will then hand the reins over to Marcel Prugel of Axon, who will do a series of Axon Ivy live demonstrations right in workflow, and then Marcel will transition to Matt Fleming, CM First senior engineer, who will talk about a GovHelp, a particular success story here in the U.S., and then we'll go into a brief Q&A period. But first, I'd like to pop up the first of three audience questions. So the first question at poll, which is, what is your main interest in workflow technology? And you can have one choice. Is it to reduce end-user training time? Is it integrate different applications together? Is it business quality process improvement? Or business process documentation? We're coming up about 30 seconds. Give a few more seconds for everybody to vote. Okay, could show the results of the survey. So integrating different applications together is the overwhelming favorite, followed by a large gap in quality improvement. And curiously, both there's not enough time to do documentation anyway, so that's not an interest, as well as reducing time. So integrating different applications together will be one of Marcel's demos. I'm going to show you several different ways to do that on the Salesforce with others. So here's the problem that Marcel and Matt are going to address in a live fashion, is that we've got these application silos related to different functions inside a company, and they hinder business workflow. And cases, these systems were never designed to be communicating efficiently with each other, and so we've built up networks of emails and Excel spreadsheets and the like to trying to figure out what the systems are telling us, and then trying to communicate across to other systems. But frankly, the application silos can't adequately support most processes across the business without a load of human intervention. So the solution is what we refer to as intelligent workflow or intelligent process operations, which is one of the CIO's top priorities this year. So that allows you to orchestrate across these silos. You end up with a system combining a process designer and then a monitor or dashboard area, and then being able to process orchestrate both from a wide variety of computer, tablet, and mobile devices, different databases and metadata, and then being able to interact with all of the specific functional systems from ERP and ops, support and CRM across the business. And when you integrate these three elements together, they're all built around a common process engine. They're controlled by agile business rules. They're tailored to the user experience, both for internal and external users in the organization. And it's easy to integrate into both packaged and custom systems. So I'm going to give you a little bit more detail now about what do I mean about a current system. So an as-is system typically is unmanaged process where users operate the system. And by this we mean is you usually have people who are responsible for one specific sequence, and there's no end-to-end visibility. The person is basically approving a piece of paper or a value from state to state. You may have a combination of paper-based and other systems and manual. And in this particular case, it was an approval process that was ultimately taking 3 or 4 days. Someone needs approval, they're not at their desk, they're on vacation, they're in training or whatever, and they're not available, and so the transaction sits in that spot for a long period of time before the proper approval is maintained, and then the transaction can move to the next state in the process. So you don't get you have lack of control of your most important business processes. So what we're trying to get to is an intelligent to-be solution. So in this world, we've taken that manual process and we've re-engineered it so that the workflow now guides the user instead of the other way around. You've got end-to-end visibility within this process. You've automated a number of the decision points depending on the values that the system gets. They just go on, and so humans are only involved when there's an exceptional state or another business situation that requires that's out of the ordinary. But you discover that most of the time, a managed process like this, like a service purchase request and approval, you can automate, basically get automated control of this process. And then in this case, we've lowered the decision-making state from days to minutes. So that in a nutshell is how intelligent workflow can work. And now I'm going to turn over the presentation to Marcel Prugel, Solutions Engineer of Axon Ivy, to walk through several live demos.
Thank you, Mark, for your introduction, and welcome again from my side, and thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar. I will try to show my monitor now. I hope you can see it. Yeah, I will give you 2 demos, and first I will tackle the first panel result, integrating different applications with Axon Ivy as an orchestration layer, and then I would like to show you in a second demo how easy it is to build with Axon Ivy processes as well as dialogues to get users and systems and backend systems to interact. So the first demo I would like to show you, we will integrate with Salesforce and Jira, for example. And the scenario I would like to created for this demo is that our organization sells a custom appliance, and our salesperson has closed the customer, let's call him John, and now we want to ensure that John at our customer, the Post Office Inc., is completely satisfied. And I already opened up here the Axon Ivy Designer module, which is used to create technical business processes very quickly, and also we can emulate those processes right here. And the model you see is the process I'm going to show you, and the various colored lanes, they represent all the participating parties in our process, both people and systems. And the process starts in Salesforce, where our sales team works. And given that as the custom appliance our example company sells, our operations department then must configure the appliance. So the second part in our demonstration will be that we create a ticket for our configurations team in Jira, and once they are done, and we will read the ticket status within Jira, we will, and the process engine will inform John, our customer, that his appliance is shipping, and we will inform our training partner that they must schedule an on-site training with our customer. We will do this in a training portal, and once they schedule the on-site training, we will hand over to our Axon Ivy mobile app, where the training partner can collect a proof of delivery and the feedback. And finally, after the application is delivered, our customer is hopefully happy, we will go back into Salesforce and create a task to do a follow-up for a sales rep with our customer. And finally, at the end, we will initiate the billing to avoid any unlikely timely errors. So as I start, we'll begin in Salesforce. I already opened up my Salesforce account window, and I'm logged in as the account manager for our customer at the Post Office Limited. And I can now initiate the process right here with our integrated Start Onboarding button. And if I click on it, it opens a window, and in the background you can see the Axon Ivy engine starts to run, and the gray objects are the objects that already got passed or are in work at the moment. So we're at the moment at View and Change Onboarding Plan, and if I switch back, we can see that we created an entire onboarding plan in the Axon Ivy engine, and as an account manager I can now see the different steps of our onboarding plan. I can add informations, or I can even assign persons, or I can simply now click Proceed, and then our simulation and our process will continue. And then see, now we notify all the involved parties, and the next step is that we create a ticket for our configuration team. And our configuration team and our operations department works, as I already said, in Jira. So I will switch to Jira now, and I can reload my Jira page, and I see that the Axon Ivy engine created a task to configure the application for our customer, the Post Office Limited, and I get an email that I got assigned to a task. And you see, the Axon Ivy engine created the task, and I'm the assignee. And we also attached a document informing us about the needed configurations on the appliance. And now, as the operations team is done with their work, they did configure the application, they tested the application, and finally they shipped the application. They can set this ticket to done, and we can switch back to the Axon Ivy engine, and in a few seconds we will see that the engine reads the ticket status, and the simulation will continue to notify our customer, John. So let me switch to what John now sees on his smartphone. Just have to get my smartphone on the screen. 1 second. Here we go. And our customer got informed that his appliance is on the way, and right here in the email he can click on the link and also see the status of his onboarding. And he can, even by clicking on the link, he can see that his appliance is in shipping, and he can check the shipping status of his appliance. And at the same time, we informed our training partner, who will conduct the on-site training, that a new customer is ready to be trained. And if I switch back to their email account, I can see they got an email, a new customer is ready to be trained. They get the information about the customer, and again they can click on the email and open a training portal where they can see all the information about the customer, where he is located, who the sales rep is, and they can now select the date for the on-site training. They can see which field engineer is available to do the training, and then they can proceed. And due to the fact that our training partner is using the Axon Ivy mobile app, on the day of the training, they will get a task in the Axon Ivy mobile app informing them about an on-site training for our customer, the Post Office Limited in Los Angeles. They can see all the necessary information for the task they have to do. They can get navigation to the customer. They can attach pictures to this task in case they need a picture of the installed appliance, or maybe there's a damage on the appliance. And they can now collect feedback from our customer and collect the proof of delivery for the appliance and the conducted training from our customer John. And as soon as I click Done on the task, you can see on the right side that the engine will continue to create a ticket in Salesforce and finally to initiate the billing. And I click Done, and you can see the simulation continues. We create a ticket in Salesforce, so I'll switch back what our sales rep sees in Salesforce. I can reload our account window. And we see that we created a new activity to do a follow-up with our customer, the Post Office Limited. And finally in our process, and this is also the final step in our process, again we inform the involved parties that everything is done in the onboarding of a new customer, and we initiate the billing. I hope this example showed you how Axon Ivy can integrate with different systems and ensure like the transparent communication between, in this case, the departments or even like different organizations, and the communication across backend systems, and in this case also portable devices. In the next quick demo, I would like to show you how easily we can create these applications with Axon Ivy. I already built a small little process, and the example here is that an employee wants, it's an order application example, so the employee wants to order something, he has to fill out an order form, and the manager checks the application, and then he either declines the application or he approves the application, and we create an order with our vendor. So this process is nearly complete. The only thing missing is now a dialog for our employee in the first step. So I opened up the Axon Ivy Designer. It mainly consists out of three parts. We have our Project Explorer on the left side, where all the necessary project parts like dialogues, processes, and connections to different systems are. I have in the middle the actual Process Designer, and here we design following a BPMN2 standard. So this is not a rule-based standard. And on the right side we have the palette where we can simply use all those process elements and drag and drop them into our process. So now I would like to create a user dialog for our employee. I take the user dialog element and just drag it onto our process here, and we see it's already got connected. I can drag it to the right position, and I double click on it. I have to give it a name. We call it fill out order. And now I can define a dialog. I can either use a predefined dialog, or I can use the create new user dialog wizard to create a completely new dialog. So again, I give it a name. I call it order dialog. I can now choose a basic layout or predefined template. I will define that I want the view to be opened once I'm done. And in the next step, I can define the data I want to use in the process step. So I want all my data to go into the process step. In this case, it's data about the delivery date, the item the employee wants to order, and even a complex type, in this case, the person type, about the name, last name, email, and occupation of our employee. For simplicity, I will take all my information into the dialog and take all the information out of the dialog. And in the third column, now I can even define that I want the engine to create an initial input fields for my variables. In this case, I say I already want an input field for the item the employee wants to order, and the delivery date. And I click on Finish, and I can click on OK, and I already see in the background the Axon Ivy engine created a dialog for me. And what you see now here is what you see is what you get editor. So we can directly edit in the final dialog look what and how we want it to look like. So I can now mark the text. I can say this should be please fill out order. I realize I forgot maybe a few fields, or I want a panel, and again it's the same construction. I have the design on the left side, and I have a palette with graphical user interface elements on the left, on the right side. So I can simply drag my panel into here, place it, and put all those fields into this panel. And I can even reuse components. I already said it. I may have forgotten an input field for the name of the customer or the email address. So I can use predefined elements like the person component. Just again, drag and drop it into our dialog here. Let it go, and I see I integrated a whole panel with person details. And the only thing I have to do in the code now is to link this person field to my data in the background. But it's pretty easy because with code completion I have to only type in data, and it already predicts that I want to use the data order application and that I have to field person. So again, I double click and my data is linked. And I can do the same right within here. I just double click on an input field and I can link it to the data beneath. And another component I would like to use is the process status component. Again, I just drag and drop it into my dialog. Let it go. And I have a simple overview of the process I'm building at the moment, and I see that I'm now in the process status send request. So I can click save now, go back to our process overview, and I can directly within the Axon Ivy designer start our process. And I can see, maybe if I click right, I can see how the end user will see the dialog. I have to start the process right here, and you can see the simulation is going, and I can see my dialog I just created. I now can input my data, and I can say maybe I want my item on Monday, and what I want, let's say I want a new laptop. And if I click now proceed, the process continues, and then it will create a task for our manager. And what you see now here is the Axon Ivy task list, but also with Axon Ivy version 6 we introduced our new portal, which I would like to show you now. The portal is meant to be a single point of access for all the processes and all the process steps and tasks for our employees. So I can simply reload the page, right here. And we can see that I have the same task here, check application of master approval at Axon Ivy. I have now with the portal I have different possibilities. I can either have the normal task list and my processes I'm able to start right here, but also I can show a full task list to either reset a task, to delegate a task if I have the rights, or to open it, or to click on it and show me more details. So I can see the responsible role in this case is the manager, so I'm logged in as the manager, it was created, and I can even attach notes to this task. I will now open this task, and we can see again we have the simplified process chain on the right upper corner. We see that we are now in the step evaluate request. I can see all the information from the previous task my employee put in, but I also can see additional information. In this case we got an order limit out of an ERP system for this special employee, and I can now check if the order is possible. Then I may get a vendor selection, or I can say maybe this employee wants a new laptop. Maybe we have a laptop still in the warehouse. And with Axon Ivy 6 we provide a new feature we call adaptive case management. And this provides us with the possibility to leave this structured process you see up here from send request, evaluate request to directly order, to go into an unstructured ad hoc process. So leave the structured, go into an unstructured process, and we call it to continue ad hoc. And now we have the possibility, if this case, me as a manager, I can include my warehouse into this decision. So I just write a subject for this ad hoc task, laptop available. I can write a description. Is there a laptop in the warehouse? I could even attach a file describing the configuration, the needed configuration of the laptop. And now I can change the workflow and add a new person to this workflow. Again, I can give this task description a name and select a role or as well as a person. So for simplicity, I will just select myself. And what happens now if I say continue ad hoc? This task gets paused and our ad hoc task gets continued. So I will press continue ad hoc. We will be led back to our task list, and I now see a new task which asked me if there is a laptop available, and the old task is paused at the moment. So we're now in this ad hoc workflow. Me as a warehouse worker would now open this task. I would see the question from my manager, is there a laptop available in the warehouse? I could even include another person into this ad hoc workflow if I wanted, maybe a second warehouse, or I can directly ask, yes, there is a laptop, and provide my manager with this information and click send. With this, we ended our simple ad hoc workflow and got back into our structured workflow. I can see the previous task reappearing for the manager in this case. Now I'm logged in as the manager again. I can open it. Again, I see the same information as before, but I also see the information from our ad hoc workflow and the answer from my warehouse, yes, there is a laptop. And based on this information, I can now say, no, there's no order possible because we already have a laptop. Another feature we have here is that the manager also can monitor, because once the process is automated, we are automatically documenting all the time steps or the process steps, the shelf times in this. So we can see how, in this case, how fast and how many requests he answers per day. Again, to this case, he can attach notes or get a status information about this task, or even get the history. In this case, there was only one person before. So let's say the manager now says the order is not possible, and he will click proceed. And I will try to show you the simulation as well. If I click now proceed, we can see the simulation continues, and we created an order and the order got received. Another great possibility we provide with the Axon Ivy portal is that we can do completely unstructured workflows. And I will show you this here. So we define different predefined patterns, as for example a to-do workflow, an approval workflow where you ask for an approval and that as an answer you get an email, or a question workflow where you can do a follow-up question, but also you can again create flexible processes directly from scratch. Again, you put in the subject, the description, you can attach a file, and then you can make a new workflow right here within the portal without any programming skills. You can attach different roles to this workflow, different people to this workflow, and start your own ad hoc workflow. And finally, with the new portal, there's also the possibility to do monitoring. So I will just create a few tasks. So we have some data. I go into the menu and I open my dashboard right here. And what we see now is some simple monitoring possibilities. In this case, I can see the expiry period of my tasks. So how many tasks do I need to do in the next 8 hours? What's the task priority ratio? How many tasks are in high priority? How many tasks in low priority? But you also could monitor here the performance. Let's say how long were tasks waiting to be done. Things like these. And this was the second part of my demo I wanted to show you. I hope you got a look at BPM as a powerful facilitator of shared services in the first example, but also have seen the possibilities to monitor, in this case, performances at all time and easily and continuously improve efficiencies and productivity within the Axon Ivy Designer by simply changing processes. And with this, I will give it back to our host, Mark.
Hey, thank you, Marcel. That's pretty impressive. Really like the new process window there. Also, I'd like to remind the audience that everything that Marcel did in terms of workflow is done in responsive web design, so that no matter if you're an approver, you can look at your mobile device or your tablet in addition to laptop or desktop and see that activity and then approve it. I'd like to, at this point, let's do another audience poll question. Question number 2, which would be, do you currently have a tool for workflow management? And you may allow one selection. So no and none planned, no and we're gathering information, or 3, we are planning a workflow purchase within 12 months, or 4, we use a business intelligence tool for reporting, like Chris Reports or something, or Informatica, but we don't use workflow. Or last, yeah, we use workflow either within my business unit or across the organization. You have 30 seconds to record your vote. About 5 more seconds. And voting is now closed. So the majority are saying that no, that you're not having anything planned for workflow, and then people are looking at gathering information, and then followed by workflow across the organization. So it's interesting. One of the BPM problems with workflow management is that there are a lot of customers have tried to do it or have done it and aren't particularly happy with the tool that they've chosen. At this point, I'd like to turn our presentation skills over to Matt Fleming, who's a senior engineer with CM First Group. Matt was recently on a team that delivered an Axon Ivy project to rapidly deliver an app, which makes it easy for citizens and businesses to access environmental resources which are needed for working with local, state, and federal government entities. Take it away, Matt. Welcome.
So yes, we had a customer who wanted to put together something that kind of resembled a social media site that would allow connections between people who had the skills to work with government organizations and with both federal and state and local government organizations that can be quite complex and quite difficult to deal with sometimes, connect them with the people who actually need the help with whether it be the EPA or state agencies, anything like that. So they wanted to be able to get a system together where they could connect the two together, and we came up with this implementation of it using Ivy so that we could get it up and running very quickly and have a good solid flow. I'm going to show you the sign-up process and then the search process. So if you're somebody who can offer those type of services, you'd go through the sign-up process here. One of the key features that they wanted was to be able to allow the people signing up to either do a free account, which is somewhat limited, not displaying email and telephone numbers, but being able to, have a basic account. And then on the other side, having a full subscription level account where they can be contacted directly from the people that are searching and have an expanded list of services and that type of thing. We're going to go through the free account side, and just a quick note, we did integrate PayPal into the flow here so that if they do subscribe, they go through PayPal. We allow PayPal to handle the payment side, and then it sends it back into the flow. So I'm going to proceed with the free account. This is a fairly standard sign-up page, and one of the things that we were able to do here is we basically just defined the data, and then as Marcel showed a minute ago, we were able to simply define the actual data and then just tell it this is what we want on the screen. And so that it was a very quick and easy setup for doing this. One of the requirements that they had was they wanted the person to upload a photo. So you cannot actually proceed in this process without uploading a photo. They really wanted that connection with somebody that they could associate to a face. And this is kind of the biggest piece of this particular flow. These are controls that are brought in from the Prime Faces tools. These are some tools that are easily integrated into Axon Ivy. And this process here will show us we're able to select the different levels. So if it's somebody who can help with federal or state level, as they continue, each of the subsequent lists are based on what's selected in the previous one. So here we have the federal non-state items, but then we also have a list of all the states. If I go back and I deselect the state, this next list will then change and only show the federal. We're going to continue through this process. And currently the only federal agency they want listed is the EPA, so we'll go with that. And here we have a list of the limited list of free items, different services that can be provided by this person. We're going to say this person can provide all of these services. When we proceed, we see a brief preview of their profile, the government organizations that they can help people with, and the services that they provide. They can edit the process. They can go back to the beginning, edit the process, and continue from there, or they can confirm, and it submits the profile for review. One of the requirements was that they needed to be able to see the profiles that came in and approve them for processing so that they could actually be 100% sure that the people submitting profiles were legitimate. And so that creates a task in the task list. I'm going to refresh this and we'll see that new profile that comes in. When I proceed with this, we see again a preview of that profile, and they can either accept or reject it. If they approve it, it goes ahead and makes it immediately available for searching. If they reject it, it'll send it back to the person and give them a reason for that rejection. So if I approve this and I go back to the main site, I can then search for that person. In the searching, we can see all the same different organizations and services. And when I search that, I can see that profile that I just created is now available for searching. And so this is a quick and easy kind of real-world application that we were able to put together so that people can quickly get in and be available for searching for people who needed help with those government organizations. So again, just a brief overview there. I'll pass it back to Mark and see if we have any questions.
Great, Matt. But before we get to the questions, I remind people to please type in the questions that you may have. We're not going to go to the last third. Hang on here. a third and final poll question. John, if you could grab control. It is up. Okay. The best reason to document workflow is it gets everybody on the same page. 2, shows more complexity than is realized. C, can reveal inefficiencies. D, gives our Six Sigma people a job. Or last, I'm not a fan. It's just too much work to set up. You have 30 seconds. Great. And just a few more seconds to go on the voting. Voting is now concluded. And the results are, gets everybody on the same page is the overwhelming choice for everybody. And that's what we found also too, that it's very, very helpful to get people from different functions and different managerial levels understanding what's really going on within a process workflow. I'd now like to, as the questions are coming in now, I want to tell everybody when you come to our webinar, one of the things that we do for you is we always have an offer for attending the webinar. And today I have 2 offers. First, if you perform the single process app using the Axon Ivy Designer, you get in touch with us. There's my contact information on the screen between now and the end of June, and we'll give you an amazing discount on the licenses and free support for a year. The pricing starts, first levels from 1 to 5 users, goes right up into the thousands, and we can make it specific. If you've got 23 employees, we can give you pricing for exactly, so you don't buy licenses that you don't need. The second offer is that all of our participants and registrants today have the opportunity to attend the Cathlon Games June 1st through 3rd in Austin, and the logo is down there on the bottom of the screen. We're going to be going into the Axon Ivy design and build approach over a total of 3 days, including a half-day deep dive. And if you decide to attend the Cathlon, we've had several teams that are coming here specifically to see Axon Ivy. We'll show you how to deploy an app in Ivy. You can bring your own work with you, and we'll show you how to do that. And we will also issue each team member, for up to 4 team people, a $1,000 travel credit. So that will cover your cost of your airfare and cost of hotel and so forth, in addition to getting that nice license discount. So we'd like to hear from you. We're really good at doing pilot types of applications for this. As you saw with GovHelp, that was basically done in a 2-month period of time. So now on to the Q&A session. And my first question coming in is from Marcel. What makes intelligent BPM different from a straight workflow solution?
Okay, thanks for the question. Well, I think the goal for both is to cut costs and drive to results by automating processes, but also the challenge for both is to stay agile and flexible at the same time, and I think with Axon we can deliver both. So we have the automated processes that, as shown, manage the interaction between systems and people, mobile devices as well as backend systems. But at the same time, we keep our processes flexible and agile with our adaptive case management possibilities, where you can create your own unstructured processes even on top of the structured workflow. But also we provide an integration for complex rules engines to base business decisions on complex real-time informations or even real-time predictions. And finally, with our business activity monitoring, you can get this real-time information about all your processes to continuously improve efficiencies and productivity. And this is, I think, where we are leading. So this is the I BPM is the intelligent BPM. Thanks. I hope everybody.
Great.
I hope the answer is fine.
Yeah, great. Excellent, Marcel. Thank you. Next one is from Matt. What is the benefit of Axon Ivy to create an app such as Government Help?
One of the biggest advantages to using Axon Ivy over traditional development is the ease of getting up and running very quickly. Anybody who's familiar with the kind of work that it takes to put together web apps, you can kind of get an idea of how complex and involved it can be sometimes, especially when trying to cover certain areas that, like handling the data and displaying everything correctly. Because Axon Ivy handles all of that, it's very easy to get up and running very, very quickly. And then you can spend your time on the pieces and parts that are the more critical portions. One of the other advantages is that as the process matures, so as over time, and you add new features and just mature the application, Axon Ivy is so flexible that you can really add a lot to it and spend all your time working on actual functionality rather than trying to get bogged down or rather than having to get bogged down in all of the minutiae of trying to develop directly in HTML or things like that. So it provides a good structure, good engine, and again, as it matures, you have a lot more capabilities. Plus, there's the reporting and things like that you really don't have with a grow your own application.
Good. Hey, Matt, I've got a follow-on question related to that. What is the use case of the GovHelp application? Is it consultants applying or a state agency selecting recruits?
The use case for this particular one really is a consultant. So, for example, here in Texas, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality is an agency that deals with just the different environment issues, and a lot of the regulation in the state it comes from that agency. If I'm a company that got a notice from TCEQ saying, hey, we've got a $100,000 fine for you here because of a violation, one of the first things that the company like that is going to do is going to look for somebody who can help them either mitigate that cost or get it reduced or just deal with the very complex issues surrounding that. So the first thing they're going to do is look for somebody who can help them with that. And so the person signing up is going to be a consultant who has expertise in that area. And so they list TCQ as one of their areas and the specific services they provide with that. And so somebody who needs the help comes and is able to connect with them very quickly and easily and be able to get that help very quickly. So kind of similar to LinkedIn, but specifically to centered around connecting consultants with the people who need their services.
Right. Okay. Cool. We have time for one more question. It's what industry standards does Axon Ivy follow for Marcel?
So the modeling of the process in Axon Ivy modeler is based on the business process modeling notation 2.0, and this is like the main industry standard we follow in our whole business process management suite. But of course, like when integrating with different systems, we support REST, we support SOAP, we support all JDBC-enabled databases, and also working on integrating at the moment a rules engine to import the business rules notations.
Great. Well, I want to thank our present presenters this morning for today's webinar. If you're curious about the Cathlon games, right now we have early bird pricing of $149 for an individual, and also teams of 4 can attend for only $399. We keep the pricing on the conferences much lower than others, especially for hands-on, because we want people that really want to be game changers and really want to introduce intelligent process into their organizations. We will equip you with those kinds of tools so that you can go back to your respective organizations and drive business change within there, or solutions that exist today. So I want to thank everybody again, and then also we will send out today's slides with answers to any of the unanswered questions that we couldn't get to shortly. Thanks again, Marcel, Matt, and also today's Intelligent Process audience. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, goodbye.